Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Thornton, and my channel is all about faith-based content, testimony, my sermons, and also reaction videos to popular trending media topics from the Christian realm. And today we are reacting to a video that Suzy and Jonathan Lamb just posted on their YouTube channel. Just a reminder, the views and opinions expressed in this video are my own and intended for educational and discussion purposes only. So we're gonna take a look at the video and kind of skim through some things that they said. It's on their YouTube channel if you want to take a look at the full video, but I'm going to go through certain key points that I just want to point out and get the opinions of my followers and see what you think of what Jonathan and Suzy said. So we're going to start at 11:49, where they discuss about a forensic investigation that had allegedly taken place.
And Jonathan didn't have such an aggressive, big reaction. Today, they would not even be admitting that he had followed her up the room or he was in the room. They can't deny it now because of this. And I know that gut instinct, that feeling, I'm thankful.
Absolutely.
Normally, am I a mama bear? Oh, you don't even know. I have gotten into so many fights. I have been beaten down and pushed into submission for being a mama bear. And I thank God with all my heart that the day came when he said enough is enough is enough. Whew, that was an intense one. Okay.
And a few days later, my father calls me and my brother-in-law into his office. He tells us that Pete has been cleared by this forensic examiner and that we need to submit and move forward.
Yeah, and all we ever knew in our lives, all we had ever done is obey and submit. We had never questioned.
Yeah.
And
so
even though I had big, strong doubts, I was angry. I'm not going to just lie and say that, I moved on. No, it was a big struggle. But the way that we were trained, God is our witness, Jonathan and I, you are going to be the future leaders. You have to take the lower road. You have to bring family unity. You have to do what it takes to be the bigger person. Go golf with him. You go have coffee, apologize to her.
So, like the father said and Jonathan said in this video, Marcus apparently performs and tells a forensic examiner to perform one on this alleged Pete. Now, later in the video, Suzy says that this examination never was performed. And I do find it a little strange that it was allegedly performed on Pete. Why was it not performed on the child? Why wasn't an exam not performed on her? She is the victim. Pete is not the victim. So that's a miss on Marcus's part as the head and the father. And I will go to where Suzy says that it did not happen. So we're going to scroll a little forward. But like I said, view the whole video on their YouTube channel if you want to see it all.
Point where they forced me to sign an NDA to be able to stay in my position as vice president and on the board. And that's what you heard the clip of that was posted on YouTube. And I said no. Knowing what I know, I cannot sign an NDA. There had been so much spiritual abuse that we've gone through. There had been obviously questionable things going on with my daughter. But I said no, I'm not going to sign the NDA.
And that was November 16th was that board meeting. And this is the crazy part. It was 2 days after Jonathan said no to the NDA. 2 days after, November 18th, we get the call, find out it was a cover-up. The people who supposedly did this investigation, both of them said, nope, it was shut down. We did no investigation.
So there you hear her. She says no investigation was performed or done. It was a complete cover-up. And it really speaks volumes that they potentially, Daystar cares more about their name than actually helping the victim that was allegedly abused. it's really sad. And watching this video the whole way through, I really just feel for Jonathan and Suzy. You can see and sense the trauma. You can sense the grief. You can sense just the sadness over this video that happened and what happened to their daughter. It's a traumatic experience. I couldn't imagine. But overall, like she said, in this video alone, why would she make something up like this and it not hold true? To some extent, yes, nothing has been proven yet, but if this is true, this is very hurtful. This is very traumatic. And this is the type of stuff that happens in and out of our world that we need to start taking accountability for, especially when it's happening to children. Suzy and Jonathan began to tell about a sabbatical that took place while they were transitioning out. And this is where she begins to tell her side of the alleged sabbatical.
You go, it's building until July of 2023 when I was fired because I stood on my convictions. Won't get into that at this point, but that's what happened. At that point, life got very difficult, complicated. Jonathan was trying to manage what to do.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, there became a giant rift in the family because Suzy had just been fired and stripped away of her ability to do ministry on Daystar after many years. And I also was removed from television to where I could not be on and continue. So we're just suddenly abruptly off television. And I continue on.
While telling the world we were on a sabbatical, which was a lie.
Yeah.
We're not okay with that. We're not okay with lies.
So, yeah.
So while they were getting let go of and fired and going through their transition, they had to fake and tell the world that they were on a sabbatical. And I had sensed roughly last year as well that they were not quite working for Daystar. I didn't for sure know, but I had sensed it just in my spirit that Jonathan and Suzy were not working for Daystar anymore. Like I said, I did not know exactly what was transpiring, but something in me felt that they were no longer at Daystar. And like Suzy mentioned, she was fired of July 2023, and she stood on her convictions. And whatever that may be, you know, I do believe her. I do believe we all have convictions that we won't bow to. We won't work under these circumstances. We won't be under these types of rules or whatever it may be because of our biblical convictions that we have and the Lord has given us. So kudos to her. Kudos to her for standing up and believing and not compromising and negotiating her convictions that the Lord has given her. So Jonathan as well is removed from television, and I really feel for them. I really do believe that they have a heart for Jesus, to serve God, to tell their stories. They built their life at Daystar. Jonathan knows nothing else probably other than Daystar. He's grown up in Daystar, and to have that completely just taken and stripped from them is traumatic. And I do pray that they use this moment in their platform to create something greater than what they lost. And as it says in Genesis, what the enemy meant for evil, God can use it for his good. And he will use it for their good. Because I don't believe that this is the end of their ministry journey, but I do believe that it's just getting started. Because many people, not just Jonathan and Suzy, are going through this very same thing and don't know how to get out, don't know what to do, don't know how to speak out. And Jonathan and Suzy are paving the way for others to come forth and speak out. Situations like this always breed for people and a breeding ground for people to just start speaking out on their abuse and the things that have occurred with them in their life and ministry, or so on and so forth. The list goes on and on and on. But I do believe the Lord wants us to open up conversation about these things and put them to an end. I do find it interesting, though, that Joni and Daystar had them allegedly say that they were on a sabbatical. Like, a sabbatical. They weren't on a sabbatical. And telling them they had to lie to the world. If they lied about this, what other alleged lies are being told? Think about it. This is something very small. If you lie about the small things, you will lie about the larger things. I guarantee you. And it really seems as if they were so caught up in keeping an image rather than telling the truth and allowing justice to take place. Later in the video, Jonathan describes about something that I've been seeing in my spirit is God exposing the bride of Christ. And listen to what exactly he has to say about it.
Various cars. It gets really bad to the point Jonathan, me, and our children, we just packed up, got in the car, and drove for days. And that's how we went to South Dakota.
And that's what we've clearly seen in this year of 2024 is God is cleansing his bride. It says judgment begins in the house of the Lord. And he is exposing all this hidden sin and corruption and bringing it to the surface so he can do a new thing. And so this is part of that movement. God is using this exposure to cleanse his bride. And so we went to Julie Roy's.
So here he says it, that God is using this, exposing the hidden things to cleanse his bride. I keep seeing this. I keep seeing this in my spirit. I said it in my last video that I see a bride that is no longer in a beautiful white gown. It's dingy, it's dirty, it's torn up. She looks malnourished. She looks abused. She looks like she has not taken a bath. All these things. And yet God is saying that that is my bride right now because she's being abused. She's being hurt. She's not being taken care of. And I do believe that there is a rising of pioneers that are going to expose dark works of the enemy. And Jonathan just confirmed it. I do believe that he has prophetic voices in his ear, prophetic counsel, telling him and encouraging him that darkness will be exposed. The truth will be revealed. And I do think that God is really taking time right now to not only expose the world, but expose the negative and the dark things that are happening in the four walls of the church. Suzy also admits in this video that there are more stories that has happened at Daystar that could possibly make her story and her case much stronger. But she didn't feel led to say everything and to tell other people's stories. But it does speak volumes that this is not the first case that has happened potentially and allegedly at Daystar. With exposing, Jonathan claims in the video that he gave his reporter, Julie Royce, over 12 hours of recording he had. That's a lot. That's a lot of recording. And for many of you that may not know, in the state of Texas where Daystar is located, you can record legally without a person's consent. And this is exactly what he did. He, every time, seemed as if he was around the abuse or around situations, he whipped out his recording and has it for purposes like this and to have a case that he was building up. Jonathan and Suzy claimed that this year of August, they wanted to release what had been happening. And they didn't because Julie had to have the investigation for so long. She had it from August of this year to November of this year. She had to collect all the data, all the information, both sides of the story, Daystar's and Jonathan's and Suzy's, and collectively get that data in order to read and expose the articles that she had written out According to the article Julie had written, it says that she reached out to Daystar November 15th of this year and to get Daystar's side of their story. And on that of reaching out to them, Joni finds out and fires Jonathan that weekend of Julie Royce's people reaching out to her. And Jonathan claims that Daystar really doesn't do this, that they don't fire people on the weekend, but they went to the extent of firing him on a weekend. And they did not wait till the following weekday, which would have been Monday. Towards the end of the video, Jonathan and Suzy began to describe Daystar sending someone to their undisclosed location. Let's listen.
November 16th. Now, throughout my time at Daystar, no employee has ever been fired on a weekend. We just don't do that. We fire people typically at the end of the day. A lot of times it's on a Friday. So there's proper exit procedures. So this was clearly a retaliation from me talking to the media. They wanted to fire me immediately after that. It's the day after Julie reports was
And
fired.
how did they do it? Who showed up at our door? This is why we left the house.
We made that video earlier, said we were going to go into an undisclosed location. We did. And of course, Daystar's security guard came to our front door in a bulletproof vest with a gun and
Weapons.
posted my termination letter on the door.
And it's the same man who stuck the tracker in his car.
Yeah, so that's, again, the Daystar Mafia coming after us. And so...
Wow, that's a lot. Where do I start? So Daystar sends a security guard to assist a letter of termination to Jonathan. And the man literally was in a bulletproof vest, had a weapon, they say. Who did he think he was up against? Did he think he was up against the cartel? Why would you even pull up to their house with a weapon? Like, is it that serious? Am I missing something? Because I really don't believe that Jonathan and Suzy would have harmed this man unless they really felt threatened. But I know that you can legally carry in certain states. And if they could legally carry in the state that they were in and residing at the time, you know, I don't blame them, especially if they were being chased, hunted, watched, stalked. I don't blame them. But it is interesting that this man in Daystar goes to the extent, allegedly, of sending this security guard to assist this letter of termination that's written. Couldn't you just send an email? Couldn't you go about it another way? I find it very interesting and pretty much a scare tactic that they were trying to impose on Jonathan and Suzy to show you this is who we are, this is who we stand for, and this is what we believe. Be afraid. Be scared. And it just really is giving the mafia or the cartel kind of vibes to me, like, hey, you didn't do what we wanted, so we're gonna show up at your house, we're gonna do this to you, we're gonna make your life a living hell. And that's pretty much what the cartel does. If you do not listen to them, if you do not do as they say, they will make your life a living hell, or in worst case scenarios, unalive you. Also, Suzy slides in there that this same man, the same security guard, placed a tracker on Jonathan's vehicle. That's scary. That's beyond me. That's beyond just, who does that? Like, that's really just beyond me. This is really deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper as they keep disclosing more and more information. Like, they really are being stalked, taunted, their lives been made a living hell. And if all of this was not true or allegedly true, why would you go to that extent of scaring them, harming them, causing disruption in their lives? You wouldn't. And it speaks volumes to me that this is all taking place, and the tactics and the devices they're using against Jonathan and Suzy Lamb. If this is true, it sounds just very cult-like. And when you leave a cult, they come after you. I've watched many documentaries of cults and how women, children, people, members try to leave, and the cult members try to stop them and go after them. It reminds me of the book of Exodus, where Moses led the Israelites to freedom and out of captivity, out of slavery, and yet Pharaoh and his members go after them because he did not want his slaves to be free. Same with cults. When you go and you leave and you try to get freedom, there is sometimes a pursuit after you because they don't want you to leave. They want you to continue being a slave, to continue to be a pawn, to continue in this abuse and cycle for their benefit and their gain. And in this video, Jonathan addresses why he has stayed at Daystar for so long, knowing that this has happened, the alleged abuse happened to Suzy and the daughter, and why he stayed. He said that he knew nothing else but to be obedient to his mother, his elders, and he knew nothing else. And Suzy was groomed soon enough as she married him in this way too. You don't challenge, you don't go up against your elders, you don't question their authority, but you trust them. You continually trust them even if you feel like it's not the right way, even if you have questions, even if you have doubts. Trust them, obey them, submit to them. And it really is sad to see that Jonathan had to pretty much die to himself in a way that was not honoring Christ to submit to alleged abuse, alleged taking advantage of, alleged misconduct. All these things he submitted to, and yet not knowing that he could have stood up sooner and said something sooner. But sometimes we're taught to just always obey our parents, even as adults. But yet, just because they're disappointed with the decision you make does not equivalent to disobedience. But I really do like the tone of this video. Jonathan and Suzy make it very clear that they hold no unforgiveness, they hold no anger, but they just want justice and accountability, which we all do. I think that it's very biblical to forgive, but yet to want the accountability and the justice that God rightfully speaks on. And they said that. They said that they want that for them, their family, the truth to be revealed. But yet they don't want us as congregants, they don't want us as Christians attacking Daystar or their mother-in-law. They just want justice and accountability, which is very commendable of them to speak out and say, in everything that they've been through, they really just want the truth and justice. And they know the God that they serve, and they know that God is a God of justice. And Suzy begins to go and say that if you cannot be transparent and be held to a standard of accountability, you should not be in leadership, which I agree. I really couldn't have said it better. That we as leaders, as ministers, people in the church need to be accountable for our actions and take responsibility and have wise counsel around us. It's important. It's essential. And we must do this in and out of the church, and especially in ministry. One thing they really harped on is that they love their family and they forgive them. And they have obeyed God in all this by just coming out, telling their story, and sharing it to the world. And if that's what they feel that they need to do and God is behind them and standing with them, it's better to please God and disappoint man than please man and disappoint God. I really commend them for speaking out, for standing up for the truth, for saying what is right in their personal experiences, and standing up for what God has spoken for them to stand up for. I'm really proud of Jonathan and Suzy speaking out, and hopefully this opens up a conversation for us to have. Many people, even in my comments, have already admitted that they've been essayed. They've gone through this form of essay, and it really speaks volumes that this is happening and this is still happening, and yet a conversation for us to have. And I truly believe that God is exposing it in order for not just Suzy and Jonathan and the Lambs to heal, but for you watching this. If you've encountered and experienced SA, for you to heal, for you to seek counseling, for you to open up to someone and find someone you can trust to speak on the matter. It says in the Bible, when we confess our sins to one another, we find healing. And there is healing in confession to the right person, not just anybody, but to the right people that God places around you. So be encouraged that justice be served. Pray for them. Pray for the Lambs as all this continues to unfold. Because when one hurts, as the body of Christ, we all hurt because we are connected as a body. So continue to pray for the Lambs. Continue to pray for justice, for healing, restoration, and God's will to be done on earth as it is in heaven. If you like this video and you like more content like this, subscribe to my channel and you will see all things ministry, faith-based, and reaction videos to Christian media. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I post new content. And if you like this type of content, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you feel and your opinion on this video, what you think about Jonathan and Suzy's response, how it makes you feel. If you feel confident enough to say your experiences on anything that this is revolving around, let me know. I'll engage with you. I'll comment back. And I'm a small YouTube creator, and it would really help me for you to engage, for you to subscribe, and you to share this video. So thank y'all for coming and watching and listening. And like I said, don't just judge them, but also pray for them. Pray for them all in this time as everything begins to unfold and the truth be revealed. Thanks for watching, and I will see y'all in my next video. Have a good one.